The medical books began tumbling from the shelves, one after another. Looking up, I saw them reflected in the window, two identical girls with milk-white eyes staring directly at me, though no one was actually there. You won't believe what happened next. Watch until the end. The New York winter of 2025 was especially brutal. As I, Dr. Daniel Fletcher, hurried toward the archives building, the streets surrounding Bellevue Hospital lay buried under thick snow. A resident physician with a secondary interest in medical history, I'd volunteered to digitize the hospital's oldest case files for a new research database. Most were mundane: fevers, fractures, the occasional pioneering surgery. Nothing truly captured my interest until that January afternoon, when I found a sealed envelope at the bottom of a box labeled 1862, Unresolved Cases. The yellowed envelope bore a simple inscription: Blackthorn Sisters, confidential, not to be opened without authorization from the medical director. The wax seal displayed an unfamiliar symbol, a blackthorn tree with intertwined roots. I should have handed it to my supervisor. I should have left it alone, but scientific curiosity prevailed. Carefully, I broke the seal and extracted several documents written in precise, elegant handwriting. The first page was a letter signed by Dr. William Hayes, Bellevue Hospital's director in 1862. March 21, 1862. To whom it may concern in the future. If you are reading this, circumstances have necessitated a review of the Blackthorn Sisters case. I warn you, the enclosed documentation contains observations that defy all medical understanding of our time, and possibly yours as well. As director of this hospital, I have ordered these records to remain sealed indefinitely, not from fear of scientific controversy, but because there are phenomena which, once observed, irrevocably change the observer. Proceed at your own risk. Dr. William Hayes, Director, Bellevue Hospital. A chill ran down my spine as I turned to the subsequent pages, detailed medical reports, accompanied by daguerreotypes of two identical girls, approximately 10 years old. Both wore austere black Victorian dresses with high collars, their dark hair perfectly parted down the middle. Most disturbing were their eyes, completely white, with no visible iris or pupil. The first report was dated February 15, 1862. Patients, Elizabeth and Eleanor Blackthorn, age 10. Presented by Mr. Thomas Blackthorn, father. Initial examination, the twins present with an unprecedented ocular anomaly. The cornea and iris completely lack pigmentation, creating the appearance of entirely white eyes. However, contrary to what this condition would suggest, both girls demonstrate visual capacity. In fact, their visual acuity appears extraordinary. They can read text at distances impossible for those with normal vision. The father reports the condition has been present since birth, but has been accompanied by disturbing behaviors that have worsened with age. The mother died during childbirth. The girls remain absolutely silent during examination, responding only when directly questioned. Disturbingly, they tend to answer in unison, with identical voices. I recommend prolonged observation and additional studies. Dr. Jonathan Pierce. I continued reading, increasingly fascinated. The subsequent reports documented weeks of observation. The Blackthorn sisters had been admitted to a private ward in the hospital, unusual for the era, especially for pediatric patients. February 27, 1862. Conventional tests have proven inconclusive. The patient's ocular structure defies known medical classification. It is not albinism, not cataracts, not consistent with any documented pathology. I have observed a concerning phenomenon. The sisters appear to respond to questions I have not verbalized. On 3 separate occasions, they have answered thoughts that existed only in my mind. This morning, while contemplating whether I should request consultation with Dr. Hayes, Eleanor, identifiable by a small birthmark on her left wrist, said, "Dr. Hayes won't believe what he sees in our eyes." Elizabeth immediately added, "No one will believe it until it's too late." I have begun taking notes in medical shorthand to prevent the girls from reading my observations. Dr. Jonathan Pierce. The documentation continued, revealing growing unease among the medical staff. March 4, 1862. The behavior of nurses assigned to the Blackthorn sisters has become erratic. 2 have requested transfers, citing recurring nightmares and a constant sensation of being watched. Nurse Sullivan insists the girls communicate with each other without speaking, and that they know things they shouldn't know. Today I witnessed a disturbing incident. Upon entering the room for morning examination, I found the sisters sitting perfectly still on their beds, staring fixedly at Nurse Jenkins, who stood motionless in the center of the room with tears streaming down her face. When I asked what was happening, she seemed to awaken from a trance and could not recall why she had been crying. The twins simply said, "We showed her what awaits her." I have urgently requested consultation with specialists in neurological and ophthalmological disorders. Dr. Jonathan Pierce. As I read, the temperature in the archives room seemed to drop. I adjusted my lab coat, attributing it to the building's antiquated ventilation. The next document was a letter from the girl's father to the hospital. March 10, 1862. Dr. Pierce. I must express my deep concern regarding the lack of progress in diagnosing my daughters. I brought them to your institution hoping to find medical answers, not to have them treated as circus curiosities. However, I must confess something I did not initially mention, for fear you would refuse to treat them. The disturbing behaviors I referenced extend beyond the unusual. Since they were 5 years old, my daughters have demonstrated the disconcerting ability to know the thoughts and feelings of those around them. The servants refuse to be alone with them. My sister, who lived with us briefly, fled our home after the girls accurately described the death of her son years prior, a secret she had never shared with anyone. More alarmingly, they have begun predicting events before they occur. Small incidents at first, unexpected visitors, sudden weather changes, but last month they described in horrifying detail the fire that would ravage the factory across town a day before it happened. I am not a superstitious man, Dr. Pierce. I am an engineer, educated in facts and logic. But my daughters have made me question the very nature of reality. I implore you to find answers where I could not. Thomas Blackthorn. A sharp noise startled me. One of the books on the shelf to my left had fallen to the floor. I picked it up, noting it was an outdated treatise on ophthalmology. When I opened it, a black and white photograph that didn't belong to the book fell out, 2 girls in Victorian dresses with white eyes, the same girls from the reports I was reading. The next document was the most disturbing yet. March 15, 1862. Today I experienced something that defies all rational explanation. During my examination of the Blackthorn sisters, Elizabeth, or perhaps Eleanor, I could not distinguish the birthmark today, touched my hand. In that instant, I was flooded with visions and sensations not my own, images of places I've never visited, faces of people I do not know, and an overwhelming feeling of anticipation, as if they were waiting for something, or someone. When I withdrew my hand, the girl smiled simultaneously and said, "Now you can see too, Doctor." Since then, I have experienced episodes of what I can only describe as shared vision, moments where I perceive rooms through someone else's eyes. At times, I sense the twins' presence as if they are watching me through these borrowed eyes. I have secretly consulted with Dr. Hayes, who has ordered the girls isolated from other patients. He has also suggested I might be experiencing some form of suggestion or hysteria from exhaustion, but I know what I felt, and I fear this is only the beginning. Dr. Jonathan Pierce. The final report in the envelope was brief and written in shaky handwriting. March 20, 1862. The Blackthorn sisters were removed from the hospital this morning by their father, against medical recommendation. Following yesterday's incident, where 3 nurses simultaneously experienced the same nightmare while attending to the girls, Mr. Blackthorn insisted on taking them away. I cannot say I regret their departure. The episodes of shared vision have increased in frequency. Last night I dreamed I was walking through an unrecognizable hospital, filled with gleaming machines and bright lights. In an archives room, a young man was reading my notes about the Blackthorn sisters. I could see his face clearly. This morning, while reviewing my final notes, I found something disturbing, a drawing I do not remember making. It shows the face of the man from my dream, with a name written beneath, Dr. Daniel Fletcher. My name. Yours. If you are reading this, then they knew. They have been waiting for you, and now I fear they are watching you. May God help us both. Dr. Jonathan Pierce. The book I had picked up slipped from my trembling hands, hitting the floor with a dull thud. As I bent to retrieve it again, I noticed something impossible. The books across the entire shelf began to fall, one after another, like invisible dominoes. I looked up at the window, and my blood froze. Reflected in the glass, darkened by the winter night, two girls in Victorian dresses with milk-white eyes stared directly at me. When I blinked, they vanished. But the sensation of being watched remained. And you, have you ever felt someone watching you through a reflection? Leave us a comment below.